the company mission, like our stated goal is train 1 million shooters a year. That is, and that's a mountain to climb. You know what I mean? We're probably over 5 million shooters, but the reality is the whole idea of the company to begin with was we want people to be engaged and to push their fundamentals and to train.
Welcome back to Whiskey and Windage, the two-way podcast for the people, by the people. I'm your host, Mike, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Adam and Matt. Adam, how are we doing tonight, bro?
Dude, I'm good, man. I'm excited for this podcast. This is someone we met at GOA. Good dude, great company, and I'm excited.
Man, it's going to be a great one, but I think before we go any further with Mantis and Jake, we want to shout out and say a very happy anniversary to the co-host, man. We want to say happy anniversary to Mr. Burning Powder and the wife. Happy anniversary, dude. It's a big deal, and we're glad that we're a part of it.
Heck yeah.
Appreciate that, boys. Yeah, thanks for having me on my anniversary. But 6 years of marriage, almost 16 years with the same person is been an adventure, and I couldn't be right here without her. So yeah, shout out, Mrs. Burning Powder.
Man, big props to everybody. I mean, marriage, regardless, no shade thrown your way, Adam. Marriage right now and successful marriage is a few and far between. So anybody that has what our grandparents had is luckier than they know. And if they do know, then I hope they cherish that, because that's something that everybody who wants to be married strives for. So, without going too much further in that, we do want to welcome he's loading in, but we are joined by Jake from Mantis, the dry fire training company. But while he's loading in, Adam, you got any thoughts?
I do. So walking in the GOA, right down the escalator into the two doors opening.
Yeah, best seat in the house.
Yeah, booth. First booth, Mantis. They were there. Awesome people. All the reps were welcoming, friendly. Hey, come on over here. Who are you? What's your name? Awesome. You guys do a podcast? Great. Hey, let me show you the product. And they were awesome. They were so cool to us on both days. We came back to them, talked to them again. So shout out to Mantis. Customer service, outstanding. The reps, outstanding.
Yeah, man. And while we were there, man, they were super nice, and they kind of let Matt know a couple little secret things that were coming down the pike, Matt, didn't they?
Dude, I got sworn to secrecy. I didn't actually get to see it. I just saw a picture. I was kind of standoffish at in a playful way, I was like, no, man, this doesn't show everybody love. And so I got to see some pictures, and just briefly with Jake through our correspondence and stuff, it sounds like we're going to get to talk about some of that new stuff coming down the line. So I'm freaking jacked, dude. Let's go.
Man, well, with any luck, I would love to say that I hope there's something for the goons out there. I don't know yet, but man, let's all find out together. It looks like looks like Jake's loaded in. So without further ado, man, Matt, bring us in, brother.
Let's go, dude.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
All right, guys, I want to welcome our next guest, Jake from Mantis. Jake, welcome to Whiskey and Windage. We met at GOA, and we finally got you on the podcast, man. Welcome.
Yes, thanks, guys. I'm stoked to be here. It's going to be a blast, and can't wait to talk to you guys about everything.
Heck yeah, thanks for coming.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It was really cool to get to see you guys at GOA and talk to you and see all of the current product offerings, and to get out there and try all of the different products you guys had. Watching your reactions, how you were shooting, whether you were pulling, too hard a grip, too light a grip, all that stuff. It's just a super cool thing. And if you haven't tried dry fire training yet, you definitely need to get on that train, because it's definitely something that'll help you improve.
Oh yeah, that's kind of the whole, all of us going to shows and hanging out with everybody, and we eat our own dog food too, so it's always fun when we've got people to swing by the booth and want to get serious and try it out, and kind of we had like a little competition going with like sales director from SAR Firearms, and there's a couple other YouTubers there hanging out, so it was a good time. It's a lot of fun having everyone come by.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I was going to say it was kind of crazy because it was the show was mid-August. My birthday was the end of August, and the wife, God, 2 months ago was like, "Hey, what do you want for your birthday?" And I was like, "Man, I'm really digging this dry fire stuff. I want a Blackbeard for my AR for one of them. That's what I'll use." And I just left it at that and didn't think anything. And like, sure as shit, lo and behold, it was like, "Hey, here's a Mantis." I was like, "Thanks." Like,
she did good. She sent some messages. She sent some messages out to me and Matt, getting the feelers. She made sure she knew what she was talking about. She made sure she had the right facts, the right product, and she executed very well.
She killed it, man. She killed it.
We're honored, and that's a dope birthday present. Maybe this Christmas we'll have to get you something else that's coming out soon or something like that. But
hell yeah, dude.
That's a really good win.
Let's get into Mantis itself, man. Let's talk about. Obviously, we're all here and we're all big fans of dry fire, but let's talk about the backstory on Mantis. When was it started? Why was it started?
Yeah, so the company itself is about 10 years old. I think it was just like this last March, maybe, we celebrated the 10-year anniversary of the shooting performance sensor. So like the X10, that's our third generation of the shooting performance sensor. It was started by three brothers who were going to school out in Utah, and they're old school entrepreneurs. They look for problems in our country, in economics, whatever it is, and then they kind of just like compile this huge list of things that they want to do to solve these problems. And Mantis was like halfway down that list, and they kind of just realized that people need accessible ways to train without having to go, I don't want to say take a course or something, because obviously we encourage all forms of training. But anyway, they were looking for a way to actually connect with everyone, make it easy, whatever firearm you wanted to use. And that's kind of where the juices started flowing on the shooting performance sensors initially. So that's kind of where it started. And obviously it's just been evolving and growing into all different facets since then. Multiple product lines, different versions of the sensors, working on live fire, stuff like that. It's all been growth the whole time. So, but yeah, that's where it started. Three brothers who are all engineering backgrounds, and wanted to figure out a way to make training accessible for everyone.
Man, that's a smart family.
Freaking rad. Yeah.
They are. They're wizards. They're really smart.
That's awesome.
Dudes. It's
10
cool.
years, but 10.
Yeah.
So because I'm trying to think the first time I heard of Mantis was probably, 4 or 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I think Iron Infidel. I remember seeing he was one of the first people pushing it on his channel, and I remember watching him run it, and that was the first time. But 10 years, I did not realize it was that long.
Yeah. So there was a lot of infancy. We're still in our infancy, right? Like if you consider everything about the firearms industry and how old it is, right? We're still children in this industry, but we've really, ever since kind of right during COVID is really when dry fire got a lot better traction. At the time in the market, there was only two products that used the accelerometer like our sensors do. And really that was kind of the initial head-on competition to get things going. But we worked really hard on our software, our secret sauces in the software, right? And kept maturing that and pushing it and taking feedback and trying to reach out to content creators, professional shooters, instructors, everyone, to just get as much feedback as we could to really start honing in on the software. And then obviously everything with COVID, or I should say the pandemic, slowed a lot of range time down for a lot of people. And people wanted a way to train at home. So it kind of just went hand in hand and really gave us a good footing. And we've been trying to take advantage of that ever since and continue to mature and grow.
Yeah, man, I think it's pretty interesting because pre-pandemic, I'm, I'm in the city. I'm just outside the city limits, but I'm in a, when I say a major city, it's still a small one, but I'm in Nashville. But I have a couple ranges, indoor ranges close by, but there's not a whole lot of outdoor around me. I'm lucky enough to have some land that I can shoot on, but there's so many people that are just apartment bound or condo bound or don't even have a range near them. It's a 2 or 3 hour drive. So, you got to drive, then you got to, you plan to spend the day there. So it's, you're driving there, you're paying range fees, you're paying for ammo, you're paying for food, you're driving back, you spent the whole day, which is, no one ever complains about there's not really, unless you have a major malfunction, there's never really a bad day at the range.
Oh yeah, baffle striking. Yeah, I've baffle strike at the range. That was a bad day.
Exactly, but unless there's some malfunction, I mean, I could go out there and miss every.
It's usually
target.
a pretty good time.
Yeah, I could go out and miss every target and be mad, but at the same time, that's better than like a great day at work any day of the week. So, but those people that you start training, and if you're really passionate about it, that stuff adds up. And the cost of ammo, I mean, it's not getting any cheaper at the moment. So, you start spending a couple $100 a week on ammo plus range fees, it gets expensive. So having that opportunity to LARP around your living room and, your apartment or wherever and use dry fire with lasers so you can visibly see what you're hitting. I mean, dude, it's so sweet.
Yeah. Well, and the ability to get feedback is like another huge benefit in my eyes. Like, let's be real. Standing in a room by yourself with an empty magazine and an empty gun and practicing your trigger, like, I do it, but it's not fun. Like, I mean, how many trigger pulls before you're like, okay, dry firing is really boring. I still think it's very important, but just plain old dry fire, empty gun, empty magazines is boring.
If you like equated this to like a sport or something like basketball where you have to go stand in the driveway and shoot 100 free throws every night, like, you're exhausted by that. It'd be a lot better if you had like a ball return machine and like a score counter. And, so that was kind of, the same idea. We just wanted to be able to add to the feedback. And while the feedback's important, right, if you go look at our app, there's like a daily challenge. So there's something fresh to do every day too. It's like if you beat all the courses and you're kind of bored of the shot timer and the par timer and all the kind of standard things that are built into it, then, do the daily challenge. Like they're really fun sometimes, like do 10 dry fire reloads and blindfolded, or go get your hands all soapy and try and do 15 in a row. It's just like there's all sorts of fun ways to, you don't think about it when you kind of get stuck in the dull routine of like, okay, I have to stand here and pull the trigger 30 times.
Right.
Like, this is going to be fun,
That's awesome. I mean, kudos to the software engineers that are doing that and keeping it. Like, I'm sure there's some people that are helping them, think of creative ways. But here's the thing we haven't talked about, and it's what really intrigues me and really hooked me as the Blackbeard is the trigger reset. Understanding that, to me, it sounds stupid, but like not having to actually rack back every time, but I could just sit there and my trigger is resetting itself. Especially if I have a nice trigger, I get to feel my trigger. There's something to be said about that I think is an understatement.
Yeah, really, that was kind of like eye-opening for I'll go ahead and say it was like an industry shaker for a lot of people. At least a lot of people are serious about training. When you get the exact same weight and break and reset, it's like, oh, okay, this is so much better than having to pretend or racking it each time. And you get so much, when we're talking about LARPing around the house, like I clear my house and my shop every day with my Blackbeard. And it's one of those deals. It's like, oh God, I'm so glad I can do this because I was in the Army. Like that's kind of where I started. And dry fire drills for us we called them washer and dime drills. So you just go lay in the grass and balance a dime on the front sight post. And that was the effective training. And it was like, okay, well, that's boring. And I got to rack it every time and that sucks. So, it was awesome compared to that.
Well, speaking of, because so I'm still active duty Army. I'm a drill sergeant in the Army still, and I see like the Blackbeard being like how the Army. I'm sure there's something in the works, but like I see the Army when it comes to like training and doing like a good way of training new soldiers, especially in basic, on a way of marksmanship that actually is cost effective and time effective. The Blackbeard's huge for that.
Yeah, so to that point, in the last year, the Marine Corps, all new recruits going through Paris Island are using the Blackbeard X.
Oh, that's so cool.
And really,
Rad.
like exactly what you're saying. Marine Corps never had issues training shooters, right? Like, they
They're
make
better
it
than we
happen.
are. Let's be honest. They're better shooters than we are.
Not me now, but at that time, yeah,
true,
definitely.
true.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, true.
Um, But no, so that's what they're doing, and for their grass week, their dry fire week, they're taking a standard 85 to 90% qualification is what they usually have to get first timers through zeroed and qualified through the range. They're doing it 2 days faster, and then every recruit who's actually getting feedback from Blackbeard X while they're out laying in the grass is qualifying first time around. So
Damn.
Right.
in terms of like, sure, we could talk about how much ammo you're going to spend when you're zeroing out at the range and trying to get them on target and stuff, but 2 days faster, that is so much money saved for the Marine Corps. It's unreal. And they're getting more units, so we're trying to use that as a like a proof to the Army, to the Navy, to everyone. Be like, hey, this would be a good way to go.
Well, the Navy needs to learn how to mount their scopes properly. Since
I knew that was coming as soon as I said Navy.
Ooh, burn.
But I will say this from a training from being a drill sergeant standpoint, a lot of recruits coming in, they have never shot a rifle before anyway. So like getting them out there, and now we're teaching the basic, like you said, diamond washer thing. That's since I was a private, that's what we did. But like having a way to sit someone that's never shot a rifle. I don't care if they're a new private or just or a civilian, but having someone to get behind this weapon, and now we can work on fundamentals, what they're doing, and like giving them a fundamental understanding of trigger break, how to not slap a trigger, how to keep the sight alignment based off software. I mean, that, especially with kids nowadays with video games, I mean, I think you're going to get a lot more retention and a lot more understanding behind the weapon system before a single round's ever fired. So kudos to that.
Yeah. That's kind of what we want to do, especially when we're talking about like continuing training. EST, that was always a bit of a nightmare, right?
I hate the EST. It's a stupid video game that's not accurate in my opinion, but yeah.
Yeah, and it takes an engineer to fix if anything goes down. And
Yes.
we were kind of talking about smokeless range before we started recording here a little bit, and we'll have a competitive product here. Probably we'll be seeing it here next year, and it's a projector-based system that works off of the backbone of Laser Academy, essentially. So you'll get all your scenarios, your custom ranges, all sorts of games that are similar to things like Duck Hunt and Memory, and so there'll be a lot of cool things to do on it. But
Right.
we really want to kind of take EST by the horns and say like, hey, let's get this portable. Everyone's already got Blackbeard as, if not standard issue, at least at unit level. You have access to it, and let's set this up in the motor pool or squad bay or something like that, instead of making it a whole day and getting everyone in formation for 3 hours and getting on a bus to go shoot air guns in a crappy scenario. And so that's really what we kind of want to do, is continue to push that.
Hopefully with the duck hunt and with just the targets, maybe we can get some other cool stuff in there. Maybe some like IDPA style courses. Who knows? Maybe a sloped roof. You never know, man.
I want a zombie game.
I'm thinking zombie game, Resident Evil.
Yeah.
That's in my mind. That's where I'm going.
We had it at SHOT Show last year. So if you get to make it out to the show this year, swing by.
We'll be there.
We'll be there. Yeah. Come by. We'll have like the latest version of it out, and there's like zombies and really honestly just about everything you can imagine. Very similar to what Smokeless Range has going on, and no shade at them. They've made an awesome system. We just want to do something that's a little bit more portable and maybe a little bit more consumer friendly, really, is what we're trying to do.
That's awesome. And before these guys get into talking about some other stuff, I want to rewind real quick and talk about how we met you. We met at GOA, Goals Event, first year. But I want to say, what did you guys... Did you guys have to like pay off someone? Because like when you walked into the main entrance, you were dead center. Mantis was the center point. You could not miss you guys. You had the best booth in GOA. Like, what did you guys do to get that booth?
We try to get in early on these things.
You paid for it.
Heck yeah.
We pay for it. The shows is our favorite thing to do. But yeah, we encourage hands-on and conversation, and most of the time we try to put ourselves in a situation where we get fresh faces as they're coming in the front door, and
Yeah.
we
Smart
like
move.
interacting that way. It's fun.
I mean-
Get in there, do a little zipping with the Blackbeard and air shooting, and have some good conversation.
I
It's a
mean,
good
you guys
start
did
to the
great.
show.
You guys did great with it. I mean, your whole staff there was friendly. I think we ended up meeting everyone there, talking when they're.
So you've got the hard reset. You've got that reset with the Blackbeard. Are there any other platforms that you're going to be coming out with in the
Yeah.
future, as far as rifle or pistol, where you're going to get the reset and you don't have to re-rack?
Yeah. So our biggest requests that we get from all of our customers, all of our fans, are basically, hey, I love this for the AR. I also own an AK. I also own a SCAR. I also own an MP5. These are all things that we're getting ready to launch very soon. We don't have an exact date yet, but there's a lot of pre-production out there ready to go. We're just getting some of the final tweaks knocked out of her. I'm sure you guys have seen we had our AK prototype out at Kohl's, or pre-production. I shouldn't even say prototype anymore. They're pre-production.
Right.
So we had that out at Kohl's. Our first mag that came out of the mold, we got Brandon Herrera to sign, and we were like stoked about that. That was
Nice.
kind of fun. And then number two is, okay, we've got all these different rifle platforms that are standard, which is why we can make, these reset systems for them. How do we do this in our pistol? For the longest time, we've been telling people, hey, go check out Dry Fire Mag. They're great. Go check out Cool Fire Trainer, CERT. These are awesome companies that work well with our products. We worked well together as industry partners. But our whole goal with the Blackbeard was, it's your rifle, right? It's your trigger group. It's the same weight and break and reset. It's your optics, your furniture. We don't want you to have like a special deal. We just want you to do an internal swap out, and then it's your gun that you're training with. So we've been working on a pistol platform for like the last 3 years. We've got, just in this last year, hired on a bunch of new engineers to help us just bridge that gap and get some stuff finished up. And we're not as ready as we are with like the other rifle pre-productions, but we have some very cool stuff coming out that we think will reinvigorate the industry on dry firing with your pistols. So yeah,
I think
mean,
that's really cool, because
Cool.
right now, for anybody not tracking with dry fire pistol stuff, right now your options are, you can either use a device where you have to rack your slide every time, or you can use a device that has a sensor at the back of the trigger. So every time you pull back a littlest bit, it's going to, send a signal to a laser that's mounted usually on the pick rail or in the barrel, whatever. Or option 3 is you have to use like an airsoft gun. You got to use a gas gun. If you're a guy that carries, a G17, a G19, a 365, a 360 or a 320, like, you're good. Cool. But if you carry anything else, it doesn't always translate. It's like you're carrying something new. So yeah. I think that's great. And I understand the challenges of that. I'm not an engineer, but you've got to have something battery pack strength of a piston almost to a point, yes, or a spring. You've got to be able to move that slide or use some sort of gas assist. But how do you do that in someone's gun? I know those are all trade secrets, and those are all held by someone and someone knows those answers way smarter than me. But yeah, that stuff has to happen.
Yeah, no, I would have the same technical talking point on, the mechanical engineers that dive into this stuff and nerd out and try and figure, just like you're saying, Cool Fire Trainer, that's a barrel replacement with a green gas magazine, and it's you get so many shots where you got a gas backup, or I don't know, I can't name drop because I don't know who it was, but it is like basically this little sensor that goes behind the trigger that you don't get any recoil from it, and technically it resets the trigger bar, but it's not the same weight or brake, and the slide's not running, so you don't get any kind of, pistols are inertia driven. So you kind of have to have some of that to be able to really simulate it correctly. So I can tell you the stuff that we'll have out first. It's going to be run of the mill. How many gun owners have
Glock
kind of
19.
those
Of course, yeah.
top two,
Yeah.
companies and 3 or 4 models. But proof of concept is all we need. That's what we proved with the Blackbeard was, hey, this market exists, and we're proving that. And all these new rifle lines that we've got coming out have a ton of people thrilled and reinvigorated with the idea. So translating that to pistol is our biggest challenge, but is happening, and it's really cool stuff.
Yeah,
Dude, that just amazes me. I mean, and then y'all going to finish that, and it's going to be 40 millimeter and AT4, and it's going to be great.
Well, I mean, it's so cool because, like, like most AR platforms, like it's the same preset of trigger. I don't care what trigger it is; it's the same concept. Like pistol, like every pistol from Glock to Sig to CZ, like the reset, the mechanics of the trigger are different. So like engineering isn't just one facet; it's like multiple facets per gun because that's tricky. That's tricky.
Well,
So
I was going to say, and you also have to be careful because with every other product they're working with, and I won't say too much here, but because I don't know their technology, but when you're talking about an AR, you're talking about, you're talking about a SCAR, you're talking about an AK. There's one common denominator with all them, whether you call it a receiver or a lower receiver or whatever. But then when you jump into the realm of pistols, you kind of got to be careful what part you make, because with a SIG, as long as you don't jack with the trigger pack, you're not messing with a firearm, nor are you creating one. But then when you go to Glock, for some reason, Glock is the only dumb company, I said it, no one else, that wants to make their grip the firearm. Stupidest thing ever, but you did it. Cool.
yeah, shout out Gaston.
Yeah. RIP Gaston, but like you should have done something different.
Yeah, basically, I like to liken our engineering team to like skunk works. Most of them are out in Montana, and they're all huge gun guys, huge gun nerds, and obviously mechanical engineers. So they are just, we've kind of got like our little Slack channel where we get updates on how things are going. It's like these guys are, every time there's something new in that channel, I get so excited because it's like, oh my God, what did they work on today? Just seeing how they're wireframing and everything, and it's all got to be digital first, right? Because we got to make models for all these molds to get printed out and set up and stuff. And it's like, dude, those guys are obsessive about every small detail, and it's a massive challenge. It's a huge undertaking because it's just like you said, how many pistol manufacturers exist out there,
Yeah.
and all of their model, even in between their own model lines, they're different. So there are so many challenges to overcome with pistols, but it's really exciting and cool to see. And I'm a bit of a nerd on that stuff myself, so even shooting them live, it's exciting stuff. Just being able to see how we're diving into it and taking those challenges on, it's pretty cool.
But looking at the pistol stuff, you've got the X2 that starts in somewhere around $100. The X3, a little bit more, like 150, 160, 170, somewhere in there. We'll call it 160 just to be safe. I don't know.
160 is right. Yep.
Okay. And then the X10 is a little more. It's like 250, something in there.
Yep.
What is the difference, and why does one need the X2 over the X3 over the X10? It sounds like the X2 is the beginner level because it's the least expensive, but what's the, I guess, glossing over the high points, what's your thoughts on those?
Well, so I'll bring it back a little bit. I'll digress a little bit when we were talking about how the company started and the origins of everything. The sensors functionally are the same idea, right? The whole point of the sensor was to be able to, they're universal. So oftentimes you'll see them on a pistol, but the whole point is pistol or rifle. That's where the whole idea started. X2 will do pistol or rifle, but it's dry fire only. So the internals won't stand up to live fire. And that was kind of the entry level. That was, when we first started on the very original OGX, before we had X2, X3, X10, the OG could do live fire. It worked on pistol, rifle, shotgun, and it was a lot of bang for the buck. I think they started at like almost $200 flat, and people were like, okay, this is cool, but I don't know if it's $200 cool. So we kind of responded to the market by saying, all right, great. Here's a dry fire only version that works on just pistol and rifle. This will get you started. And if all you're worried about is dry fire, great. spend $100 and you're in business. The X3 steps it up a little bit. It's still only pistol and rifle, but it's live or dry fire. So it'll handle both. And that kind of really starts wrapping things together. And then the X10, we call it our future-proof sensor. That's why it's the elite version. It works live or dry fire, but it works on pistol, rifle, shotgun, and archery.
Wow.
And the reason we call it future-proof is there is software aspects on the app that only work with the X10 that don't work with the X2 or the X3. The recoil meter. So if you're shooting live ammunition with it, and you're taking those shots, it'll tell you how much does my muzzle flip, and then which direction does it flip, giving you an idea on how to better mitigate your recoil during live fire. And then the holster draw analysis. That's like the really big one. Is when it's mounted on, it'll not only time 5 sections of your draw, but it'll heat map it too. It's showing you how efficient or inefficient you are with your draw stroke. And people always ask us, like, are your products for beginners? Are they to help keep, top of the top, super sharp? Is it somewhere in the middle? The answer is it's everyone. It's every level of shooter, and it's every discipline. The sensor is the beating heart of all of this, as far as mapping everything, understanding everything, your improvement, everything. Marksmanship is linear. It's you and the target, and everyone's focused on the target and not focusing enough on what you're doing to send it there. So that's really where all the magic happens, honestly.
And it's honestly pretty humbling. Like,
oh man,
like,
there's no pretty humbling about it.
It's super.
That stuff will.
Okay, yeah. Let me back up. It's super freaking humbling. You're like, yeah, I got this, no problem. Like, no, you don't know anything. You aren't anything. The laser doesn't lie.
Yeah, I mean, you can take grandmaster. You can take grandmasters. You can take world champion competition shooters, and put them on some sort of training with an internal gyroscope that is on an app, and it's. Even though they're 20 times faster than I'll ever be, it's still going to find flaws in their movement. And even though they may be the best in the world, there's still flaws.
We start seeing professionals. JJ Rakaza is one of, he uses our stuff, and he's using a beta version for the X10 called Speed Targets. And that'll be out probably here in the nearish future. But basically, it maps how well you're transitioning between targets. So it'll show you, like center point to center point, what did your heat map look like? Kind of like with the holster draw analysis, like, are you flat transitions between targets? Are you kind of hooking or swooping a little bit on them? And then
passing over and coming back.
Yeah, how far did you go past before you came back? How long were you on target before you took the shot? And even seeing people like JJ Rakaza, who's at the top of the top, who's won world championships and record holders, seeing his patterns and seeing how well he's doing transitions and seeing some of those mistakes, it's like, dude, these guys are mortal. Like, this is giving me the insight to see, like, holy shit, I can do this. You know what I mean? There's a lot of believers in it.
So getting back to Blackbeard, I want to talk about this because you mentioned Blackbeard runs on IR, right? It's an IR laser, right?
Or a red laser.
We've got red, green, and IR.
Right.
Are what available, or none.
And,
if you don't
and
want
that's why. So I want to give it to IR because you mentioned IR, and that's why. And it's like a lot of guys run night vision. So being military, I can tell you, cool, you own night vision, respect. I guarantee most people can't shoot under night vision, and I don't mean that disrespectfully. You just don't do it enough. You don't practice enough. It's a different skill set. So having an IR ability to now dry fire under my nods, even in my house LARPing, I can understand a lot more fundamentals because it's a whole different ball game. And I'm not bashing anyone, but I'll promise you most civilians with nods don't actually really dry fire or shoot real rounds under nods that much, and it's a different ballgame. So that's kind of cool that you have this ability now to train under nods because it's a whole different ballgame shooting.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt. It's one of those deals where, I'm kind of a poor. I don't really have any good nods. I've got like a monocular that's handheld, but I don't have anything on my helmet. I don't have anything on my rifle. But even, when I was kind of telling you, I use my Blackbeard to, sweep the house or do some LARPing or training or whatever scenario I'm doing. It's one of those deals where, like, if you've got a monocular or someone that can spot for you or at least watch you too, and take all that feedback together, you're seeing your point of impact. You're seeing how well you're actually handling. You're seeing what you're doing to the muzzle. You know, handling a rifle in the dark is way different than having any daylight training
No,
at all.
yes.
Like even just manipulating your rifle in the dark. It's
Yeah.
even if you're not shooting yet, you know. So it helps with all that. You know, it gives you awareness on a lot of things. You can. There's a little switch on the bolt carrier group. I've got one right here. So let's see if this camera will keep up with us here. But right here at the front of the bolt carrier group, right here, there's a little switch right there where you can turn the laser on constantly, and most of the time you'll use that for 0.
Yeah.
But some of the police departments I work with,
I
they
just
like
straight
to
up learned something new on my bolt carrier group.
Yes.
You can. It's a lot
You
easier
need a
to 0
tool
with that
for it
on.
or a flathead, but yeah, you can do it for sure.
Yeah. And so some of the police departments I work with, that's what they do is they'll turn that on to constant on. And then when they're doing indoor training or stack training or anything like that, it's a little bit more mental awareness on, oh shit, dude, I flagged that guy twice. I watched my laser run his back. Yeah, exactly.
No, that's super cool, and I love that though, because like shooting under nods is tough. Like I'm a knocker, it doesn't matter, dual tubes, I don't care what you're running, but like the way you place your weapon, how you're gonna position your line of sight is way different. So having an ability to now train and kind of get that feedback of like where you're shooting, because like you might think you're good, but it's way different. So I love that.
What's nice, and I think you'll agree with me on this, Jake, is if you're using something like a smokeless range, or you're using something like a, you're just shooting at stationary targets. It kind of reminds me of the old school, even though it was IR. It was, who are we lying? It wasn't IR. I don't know what it was. It was sorcery. But with Nintendo and the Duck Hunt gun, I still don't know how that worked on your TV. But you can cheat and you can work around when you're using visible laser. If your first trigger pull is 3 inches to the right, I can kind of just know, hey, aim 3 inches left and I'm good. And you can almost cheat because you know that visible. You're not even really looking at the optic anymore, like I was saying earlier. I'm looking at the target and pulling the trigger and knowing where to pull the gun so I can hit the target. With the IR, there's no cheating. You can't see what you're shooting, just like in a real fire situation. And while yes, night vision training is super important and IR is going to help with that, I also feel that the IR just is kind of the cheat proof way. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, that's completely fair. We get a lot of people saying, you know, they've got like the red or the green version, and they're like, after a period of time, it's similar to kind of what you were saying earlier, but after a period of time, I'll quit focusing on my optic or my front sight post or whatever it is, you know, and just start looking for my point of impact and just start doing that instead. And that's a training scar, right? Like there's a lot of feedback on training scars and how they can affect us. And, you know, if we spend all of our time dry firing and then go shoot live ammunition and, you know, you go take your first shot and you go to rack a live round after one's already racked, that's a training scar. So this is all in balance, right? This is all based off the fact that we're not just a dry fire company, but when people look at Mantis, they think dry fire because of the Blackbeard, because of Laser Academy and things like that. But the reality is, you know, you got to be careful on how you're training, period, because you'll create training scars doing it. But yeah, I digress. Coming back, we've had plenty of people say like, you know, I wish I could shut the laser off, or I've like taped the end of my muzzle, or I've put a piece of tape over the laser on the bolt carrier group, just because I've distracted myself too much using the laser. And IR would definitely fix that.
What I think we could all agree on in this, which I think would be important, and it's not to spend more money with Mantis, but yes, spend more money. But what's important here is if you are a new user, if you are someone who is just getting into dry fire training, the best thing for you that's going to give you the most instant feedback and also the most confidence is going to be a visible laser device. Once you move past that and you feel you've mastered that, and you still like dry fire training and you still use it as a daily regiment, step up to IR stuff. But as far as red, green, pick your color, whatever you see best, whatever you like best. But as far as that goes, definitely if you're starting out or even in the mid-level, like go with a visible laser so you get that feedback and know what you're doing and know you're hitting your target. I think that's probably the best advice.
Yeah, without a doubt. If you liken this to shooting live ammunition, better than competent shooters, experienced shooters can call their shots, right? Like, and it could be in the middle of a, 3/10-second string where you've let 3 go, but you know exactly where all 3 of them went.
Yeah.
A lot of new and novice shooters can't do that. They don't understand the concept of calling shots. It's hard to visualize it. It's hard to get behind that thought process. Using my visible laser, initially when I started doing a lot of work with my first Blackbeards, that helped me so much to kind of understand, like, okay, you're doing this high stress, repetitive, getting a lot of trigger squeezes in. How am I going to start tracking on, how am I going to start calling these shots? Like, how do I understand the accountability of the rounds I'm putting out there every time? That helped a lot. And now, I rarely use a laser unless I'm doing Laser Academy or something on a projector, which a lot of the times is IR anyway. I rarely use a laser as much anymore.
I want to flip the script, because also what I've noticed about you guys is you're running a company that's very niche, and marketing is extremely hard for a niche company. But I want to give you guys kudos, because you've found a way to market yourselves, and I see this a lot on YouTube, on Instagram, where, yes, you're using influencers, but it's how you guys do it. You've been very strategic about that. I mean, kudos to your marketing team, because you guys have found a way to market your product without shoving it down people's throats, but also showing it in a light that's positive. And that's tough to do.
Yeah, and it's something that leadership and marketing is very passionate about, right? Perception is reality, right? And it's kind of one of those deals where we have to be really careful about just saying, or using, I don't want to use any poor terminology here, but there are kinds of influencers that we should maybe stay away from if we want to be for everyone, right? And
Sure.
There have been some key partnerships where visually we're in front of you as often as we can be, but we don't want to overdo it. We don't want to be exhausting. And we also have partnerships where, like, I'm a huge Miculek fan. I've been a massive, Jerry has been for everyone, right? Like, we've all loved Jerry forever. And Lena is the millennial spitting image of that guy. And she's passionate about dry fire in general. So the relationship worked really well. And seeing her put it into practice, talking about it with everyone she runs into, is just a testament to not only how well our products work, but for dry fire in general and why it's effective and why it needs to happen.
Yeah.
That is the key relationship is, we could market till our eyes are blue, and people may not get the gist that dry fire is the point here, and practicing fundamentals is the whole idea behind all of this. And she has done an excellent job of showing, like, hey, I am this good, not because my dad is my dad or because I have sponsorships that allow me unlimited ammunition, but because I push my fundamentals every chance I get. And that's the whole point of dry fire. Beyond
the influencers, because you have other influencers, we won't have to name those people that represent your company, but you've chosen wisely. What I like about what Mantis has done, and I've watched you guys over like last, I say 5 years. You said 10 years, but I've recognized Mantis for 5 years. Iron Infidel was the first person I saw you with. But since then, when it comes to dry firing, lasering, there's other companies out there we're not going to talk about. But your guys are kind of like the Kleenex. When I think of dry firing, the first name that I think about is Mantis. It's not because I'm not saying you're the best or not the best. It's just how you've marketed yourself. The word Mantis, the company's name Mantis, always comes up with dry firing first. And that's just the way I see it. And I kudos to that, because that's kind of where you guys are at. Like, we think of dry firing technology and guns, Mantis is the first thing that pops in my head.
Crescent wrench of dry fire.
Yeah. I think that's completely fair. And that's a legacy I think most of us would be happy to die with. But the company mission, like our stated goal, is train 1 million shooters a year. That is, and that's a mountain to climb. You know what I mean? Even if we talked about the last 5 years when we've really gotten a fair bit of limelight and able to push this, we're probably over 5 million shooters, but the reality is the whole idea of the company to begin with was we want people to be engaged and to push their fundamentals and to train. And there was no other way out there without doing like a NRA, webcam deal or buying a video disc set of here's fundamentals. You don't get feedback from it, you just see it. And we were the first ones out there that say, hey, put this on your firearm. I don't care what you're shooting or what discipline you're doing. We'll read your fundamentals and we'll tell you how to get better. We would be the first ones synonymous with that. And that is how we're going to train 1 million shooters a year.
See, that's awesome. I love that. But here's what I want. What I love what you're doing is now you're expanding. And Matt, this is a question for you, Matt, because you're the AK guy here. Obviously, we talked about AKs. There's obviously a magazine behind you. We know that. And from AK standpoint, like if we get this into AK shooters, dry firing, like how many guys do you know as AK guys that dry fire? Is that a thing? Is it not a thing? Because it's a different platform.
It ain't gonna hit anything anyway.
Oh man, I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice for once.
I love you, AK guys. I just had to talk a little smack.
But honestly, Matt, like, what do you think can this change the game for the AK world?
So like, I'm gonna fall back to GOA because like we came in the door and Mantis was like, oh, no. I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Why? I was like, well, you guys like you ain't got no love for AK people. Like there ain't no love for AK people. Like I gotta do AR. Like what if I don't wanna? And I got like a little picture that I was sworn to secrecy and I haven't told a soul. I haven't. But apparently it's out in the open now. AK's coming down the line, and I think I don't know. I was genuinely excited about it. I was sad I couldn't play with it at the show, and so I'm still excited to get to try it on my own. But I think that it's honestly, I think any company that underestimates the black sheep AK people is like they're missing out on an opportunity. And so I'm excited to see how Blackbeard does for not just AKs but all the upcoming platforms. That's pretty exciting. That's super cool.
I want to give you a chance to show some kudos, whether it be an FFL distributor, whether it be just a great firearm shop or 2 or 3 or 5 or whatever. Aside from going to mantisx.com, who are some of the guys that have, that have really helped, or companies that have really helped with the growth of Mantis?
Yeah, so a one that's really important to us that has been a very long relationship and is still a very solid relationship right now would be John Correa and Neil and Stephanie Weiderman with Active Self-Protection. They were early adopters. We've sponsored their channel for a long time. We're their oldest sponsor. And they really highlight us at their national conference every year. And that conference is one of the most heartfelt, they put on 3 days of hardcore training with multiple instructors, people from every walk. And all that money that they make that weekend from classes, from donations for t-shirts, gear, anything, it all goes to the Flint Hills foster teen camp. And they are...
You're going to tug at my heartstrings.
Dude, I had always heard like how touching that was, but being able to go, it was just last weekend in Manhattan, Kansas. And I got to go last weekend for the first time in the couple of years I've been here with Mantis, and it's mind-blowing how passionate they are about caring about the human race and training good shooters to protect the human race. I'm
breaking social media protocol and podcast protocol right now. What was this place again? Because I got to look them up right now as we're talking.
Yeah, so it's the Flint Hills Teen Foster Camp, and I'm probably saying that wrong, but it's in Manhattan, Kansas, and that's where ASP does their national conference every year.
Okay.
Huge hearts. What those guys do for kids that have experienced some of the worst stuff in the world is mind blowing to me.
I love that,
and it's a powerful deal. So I was super grateful to them to not only put Mantis out there every year, and they've done it for like the last 7 or 8 years, and we've been with them about that long, but seeing that firsthand and at the same time getting some amazing training. Like I did some training with like Chris Bean and like Chuck Haggard and Neil Weiderman and John Correa. You know, took some insane classes where I learned a lot, but also the benefit it was going to is wild. So I would have to. That's where my props would go as far as the company is concerned with the partnerships that Mantis has had with some people.
Dude, that's so awesome. I was just looking at their website, and it's just filled with teenage, self-help and assisted help. Man, that's so
A great
awesome.
cause.
That's
It's crazy.
I was
It
I
really
was
is.
and not being an ass, but I was totally expecting to hear a Brownells or a Midway or a something, which, when they sell their products, yeah, you're definitely appreciative of that. But for you to go that route, like that's a testament to Mantis, whether they know it or not. They've got the right people in the right places, and you can tell where the focus is at. And I don't know, man, that's a testament to the company and your character. So thank you for that.
I would say the 2A community is a community, right? Like the industry does a really good job of being there for each other. So I could sit here for hours and shout out company A, B, C, D, and YouTube channel ABC and podcasts, everything that has led to a great mingling for us to be successful and help other shooters. But really, that's probably my favorite thing about the industry is it really is a true community where where most other industries are dog eat dog. And we've got some competition, and
Yeah, there is.
we love that. It's good
Capitalism.
for us. It's
It's
good
part
for
of
all
it,
of
yeah.
us. But
Well, we love that. We love the fact that for those who aren't involved, and that was kind of the point of our whole podcast when we first started this journey, was that we realized when you first get into the firearms community, you think that you're a nobody and it's this vast landscape of people that won't give you the time of day. And I mean, honestly, there's some truth to that, but in reality, it is actually such a small community and it's tight knit. And I'm not name dropping because I'm not speaking of anybody in particular, but just as an example, you run across people in this walk of life and in this industry that worked for Glock and said it was the best company, and then left and went to SIG, and then said SIG was the best company, and then left and went to HK, and then HK left, and then they went to High Point, and High Point said it was the best, and then they went back to LMT or Knights. I mean, it's not being rude or picking on who is best or not. It's if you're in this industry, you stay in this industry, and that is a super cool thing. So aside from where you work now, you may have worked somewhere different. And so the consumer may think that Glock is king and Glock is the best thing on the planet and you should only buy Glock. But the guy working at the Glock booth is, shaking hands and saying, "Good to see you. I'm glad you're happy where you're at," to the guy working the booth at SIG because he had a better opportunity for his family. And I think that's great. The whole reason we started this podcast was so people could see more of that behind the scenes stuff of, yes, it is a dog eat dog on the surface, but when you scratch that surface and get through it, nobody at the end of the day, I mean, you'll have a couple people judge you, but nobody at the end of the day cares what firearm you own, what firearm you carry on a daily, what's your go-to, what's your favorite, any of that. All everybody cares about is that you're just here. And I think that's really cool. And I mean, I know you can relate to that.
oh yeah, without a doubt. And that's all of us. We've got a M4 AR shooting platform vet and one window next to me and a window below him, a commie blasting Kalashnikov loving wacko where you've got a dry fire nerd. I mean, this little quadrant of people talking right now is a perfect testament to that. I love the fact that no matter how different our products are, our passions are, You know, it sounds like you shoot a lot of SIG to me, Mike. I'm a huge Glock guy, but that's whatever. You know what I mean?
I actually don't. I'm actually an AK snob, but you know, I'm starting to branch out. I started as a Glock guy when I first bought my first pistol, and then I kind of branched out, and I didn't go with SIG only because I thought it was like the second popular choice. I didn't buy Springfield, thank God. My personal opinion. My personal opinion, only because Springfield isn't the same Springfield that, you know, my grandfather carried in World War II.
Oh.
But anybody that carries a Springfield, good for you. And then like Taurus, like heck, man, I had crap luck with Taurus. If you have a Taurus and you love it, carry it every day.
Yeah,
protect yourself.
Yeah.
But you know, I guess to your testament, yes, I'm starting to come onto the SIG platform. But I love SIG, I love Glock, I love HK, I love CZ, I love them all. I love Staccato.
Staccato. I think I'll be honest. I think we're all creeping on this podcast. We're all starting to creep to the 2011,
the 1911, the 2011.
2011, yeah.
Well, you know, I honestly think we're creeping that way, and I'll just talk a little shit for a second. I think it's because we are all getting long in the tooth and we're all getting old. And you know how we all used to laugh at that gun guy behind the counter that used to say, all you need's this 1911. And we all like, dude, you're old. You don't know what you're talking about.
Armor gun
Like,
stuff.
We're becoming that guy.
But we're running 9 mil. We're not running 40. But we're not running 45. We're running 9 mil.
So that makes it better.
It's still
I
just
still
a
gotta be
race down
modern around
1911.
with the modern capacity. The platform was right, dude. The platform is sick, but it just didn't hold
We're
enough.
we're still
weren't
just
fast
as
enough.
bad. We just had to put our little twist on it so we can live with ourselves.
Yeah, and in 20 years we'll be like, Staccato's all you need, young man. You don't need nothing else.
Well,
Been around since 2011. What more do you want? Won the Third World War.
That's awesome.
Probably.
I love it. Jake, we appreciate you coming on today. We appreciate Mantis. But before you get out of here today, before we have you shout out Mantis where they can find you, your product, I have to ask a question. Is there going to be a new product drop, something big for, I mean, we're getting it, it's almost that time. Pumpkin spice is out. Black Friday's around the corner.
Eggnogs
I
here.
mean, yeah.
He said pumpkin spice. It just blew up in my mouth.
Hey, it's that time of the year. Pumpkin spice is out everywhere. So we know after pumpkin spice, it's right to Christmas. So Black Friday, what's coming? Is
Adam
any-
just heard sweater and yoga pants season. That's all he heard.
That's how I live my life. This is my favorite point of the year. I don't know. I'm gonna be dead honest with you.
Ooh, that was good. That was good.
There's some stuff that's ready to go. And I can tell you that even if it's not before Christmas, that it's still in sweater season. So
Hell yeah.
it's
Like
on the
SHOT Show
horizon.
time.
We're going
You
to get
can
to play
see
with
it.
some things at SHOT Show on the table.
SHOT Show, yeah. But
Oh
so
yeah,
we're gonna-
SHOT Show is going to be loaded for sure. SHOT Show
Okay.
is going to be a blast. I promise you that. But yeah, even before then, we should see some new stuff.
Awesome.
What I think's
June.
really cool is that SHOT Show has their range day on Monday, and I think one of the coolest things working for Mantis is, I mean, if you want to go just to be a spectator, you can go, but you guys are going to have a range day on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
yeah.
Indoors,
Every day's
great
range day
weather,
for Mantis. Yeah, every
great
day's range
weather.
day.
Every day is range day around here.
It's not just a couple hours for media and a couple hours for buyers. It's, hey, we're here from open to close. Shoot as much as you want. Enjoy it.
Oh yeah, yep.
Awesome.
I really think you guys get the chance, you'll enjoy it.
Well, we'll come by.
We'll be there.
So, Jake, I got one more question before we wrap up, and you plug Mantis and tell everybody where to find all your stuff. Adam almost ran me out, but Mantis aside, just you as a gun person,
Oh,
I want you to pick 5 guns. NFA doesn't matter, ammunition doesn't matter. If you had 5 guns in all the world and all the history of firearms,
And money doesn't
money
matter.
doesn't matter. The cost, ammo cost, NFA, full turbo, whatever you want. What are those 5 guns?
I'd go with like a Glock 18 for the sidearm, That
Hell
way I can
yeah.
run switch or no switch and like constantly rip it up.
Lead
So I've got a
hose
little
it. Just lead
capability
hose it.
on the sidearm.
This dude is
Um,
like my spirit
I
animal.
like him already.
Then I'd probably do SP9A3 Strybog. All right, so that way I've got the same
okay.
ammunition. We're stepping it up a little bit. I've got a little bit more range, carbine.
Okay.
M4 for sure, right above that, like
Yep.
actual M4.
Okay.
I'd probably do a Benelli M4 just because I worked on them.
He loves shotguns. Hell yeah.
Okay, you
need
like
a shotgun
shotguns.
around.
Yeah.
And then the long boy, I do the Nemesis in 338 Lapua. That's what I would do. That's
Great
my
choices.
long boy there.
These are great choices. Like
These
we
are
had
great
Clint Morgan,
choices.
like Clint Morgan, like shit the bed on this. Clint Morgan forgot about shotguns.
He picked like 3 pistols and
Yeah, I'm like Clint. What are you doing, bro? Like,
like shout out to Henry. He picked a Henry lever action. I would pick a Henry.
Damn,
but like
that's a good one.
yeah,
he did all this stuff.
Nobody
and then
likes
he was
AKs.
like, I forgot long range. I forgot shotguns.
Yeah.
And then when it came to an M4, he was like, well,
Honey Badger.
I just had a podcast with Kevin Brittingham, and I told him my top 5 rifles, and Honey Badger wasn't in there, so I got to go back and say that. I mean, he literally put his foot in his mouth.
but dude, great choices.
Between you and Sean Curtis from Pew Pew Tactical, you guys have had
Best choices.
the best choices by far.
Yeah, I think so.
And Matt, because you're the one that asked, dude, if I was not a U.S. Army vet and I just became a gun guy outside of the military, it might have been AK. Like, I love the AK, but I think if it came down to, like, this is my life and I have to have it forever, I'm familiar with it and comfortable with it, so I had to.
I'm just giving you a
He
hard time.
friend-zoned you.
My five
friend-zoned you. It's
choices
cool.
would have been 5 different AKs. It's all right. It's okay.
He is like, it's not you, it's me.
It is.
I promise.
It's me.
Do you want
That's
rifle
awesome.
to go long distance? Do you want it to do shotgun? We can do all.
We make big AK. We make shorter AK
Small AK.
and small AK.
Oh man, Jake, we
You got
appreciate
it.
your time today, man. Before we get out of here, where can they find Mantis? Where can they find you?
MantisX.com. You'll get everything you want direct. We've got a find a dealer map on the website too. So if you want to support your local boys, go ahead and look at the dealer map and see if they've got any of our stuff in your store. And I'm out in Kansas, Manhattan, Kansas, the Little Apple. So if you're ever in town,
The
look me
little
up.
apple.
Yep. Hit me up. I'd love to take you out shooting or show you any of the Mantis stuff or anything like that.
Dude, awesome. Well, we'll definitely see you at SHOT Show. I mean, we saw you at GOA. You're a great dude. You were a true professional at the booth, and we won't talk about it afterwards. I'm just joking. But no, great times. We appreciate you, man, and you are welcome back anytime on the show.
You guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Great conversation. Awesome time. You're all great dudes. I would do this any day of the week. So ever around in the future, hit me up. And if you ever have anything new, you guys want to go over some new stuff next year, anything like that, let me know. I'm down.
Appreciate it.
Awesome, dude.
All right, man. We'll see you again.
Thanks, guys.
All right, everybody who has made it this far, we really want to thank you for tuning in today. I had a great time talking with Jake from Mantis. We want to thank Jake and Mantis for taking the time to come by and kick it on Whiskey and Windage. A lot of insight. I'm super excited about what's coming from them. I mean, it's just hit after hit. You think they've got it, this is what we're focused in on, and like we're my mind's
But
blown.
wait, there's more.
Yeah, but wait, there's more.
Yeah.
So like, I'm super jacked to see where they are in another 10 years from right now. What do you guys think? How'd it go?
Oh, Mike was quiet for once. Hold on. Oh my goodness. I guess I'll talk.
Speechless.
It was a great podcast, honestly. Great insight. Jake's a great guy. Mantis is a great company. Super excited for what's coming, what is already out, and I'm curious to see what's coming up for Black Friday. We got a little hint. Maybe there's some Black Friday stuff. Maybe not. SHOT Show. There's more coming. It's coming soon. Super excited. So just waiting.
Man, I'm very excited. Very excited for what the future holds for Mantis. I'm very excited for what the future holds for dry fire training. regardless of the company or platform you're using. It's what I find very interesting is that they're aware of the other companies out there, as they should be, and
Yeah.
instead of being standoffish and instead of being dog eat dog, it's a, hey, we love what these guys do and we aspire to do that. Hey, we're the leader in this. Hey, these guys do this great and I like that. And how can we make that our own? And I don't know, man. I truly feel like Mantis is a product for everyone, and they have a product for everyone of every,
Yeah.
I guess, skill.
Yeah.
If you're a beginner in this, they've got something for you. If you're a middle of the road guy, they've got something. If you are the competition guy that shoots every weekend, they've got something for you.
They have something for the military.
Every
They
weekend.
have something for the military, which the Marine Corps is using. That's awesome.
Well, I said the beginners.
Ooh, I'll let you and Clint Morgan talk about that one. Yeah.
All right, yeah, y'all come after me. I just want to see if you really listened. But man, other than that, dude, that's all I got. I'm just excited to see it, and Mantis is a great company. Jake was a great guest, and both of them are welcome back at any time.
Hell yeah. Well, again, thanks to Mantis. If you guys haven't already, make sure to like, subscribe, share this video. Adam, put a bow on it, baby.
Guys, if that's all we got, like I always say, stay dangerous, carry a weapon. We'll talk to you soon.